idea of community to me, there's so many aspects to this. And this is the part that really excites me because just like we had our national conference, so a couple things with community. You get, national conference, franchise companies usually have an annual convention at a remote location, and all the franchisees get to join. And what's really cool is that's almost a mastermind in and of itself. You may have 100 franchisees. Everyone's coming from different backgrounds, right? You have C-suite, you have people that never own business, people that are serial entrepreneurs that own multiple franchises and other, kind of mom and pop businesses. But everyone is sharing their background, sharing ideas, and also sharing what's working and what's not working. Sometimes depending on the region, maybe certain marketing efforts will work better than others, but really sharing what's working. How can we all help one another, sharing ideas and sharing concerns. And that goes back to support. But this idea of community is not, let's all sit here and say what we hate about the franchise or what we love about the franchise, but let's just share the stuff that's working and not working so that, we can kind of work together. But not only that, you're getting to meet in person your neighboring franchisees, which is really, I think, huge just because, you can share essentially resources. So maybe you go in together on various marketing, right? Maybe you get better pricing on pay per click on Google because you're going in and just say all the New Jersey franchisees are getting together, that kind of deal. Or you're sharing resources when it comes to staff, manpower. You offer a painting service that you hire 1099 contractors. We're short, just got a large warehouse painting. I need an extra 2 contractors. I'm short. Can you work with another franchisee? Absolutely. Obviously, it's case by case, and you want to meet those franchise owners. But that's the sense of community. We see it all the way back going in validation when you're exploring franchises. Current franchisees will donate their time however, once a month, once a week, whatever it is, and validate and give feedback on the franchise. How's your experience been? Would you do it all over again? Typically, they're, essentially donating their time. When they purchased their franchise, they spoke with other franchisees as well. But the beauty is you get to hear directly from the franchisees how their experience has been. If there was some negative experience, you want to hear that as well. And you want to make sure that things were resolved or in the process of getting fixed. It happens. It happens when a brand is growing. Mistakes are made. Maybe the ball gets dropped in a certain area. You just want to make sure the franchisor is efficient, is reactive. Is going in and really fixing the issues if it comes up. So that's a big one. You hear, sometimes depending how large the brand is, you've heard things like an FAC, a franchise advisory council. So that's where a group of franchisees get together, gather the feedback, and then bring those directly up to the franchise. Many emerging brands, you can still have them, but as I mentioned, going back to the example with Jeff Duda and Homefront Brands, just, having those weekly calls and not waiting for all this feedback to build up in a summary, but just like, let's handle it. Let's handle it on the fly as things come up, and let's address it sooner than later, which, that's a big thing. Another part of community is the franchisees. Maybe they, you're looking to sell your business at some point, and in that case, the first thing I would recommend is speaking with your fellow franchisee and just saying, hey, love to sell you the business. We can avoid having to list it on a biz buy or with the broker. We can sell it directly, keeping the costs much lower and not having to worry about it. And just a smoother process. Someone that knows the business there's going to be a huge, advantage there. The business, you're kind of just taking over as is and just keeping it as simple as possible. So I think that's going to be, that there's a major benefit. And then, lastly on community, you have sometimes, competing brands in the franchise space, and they get together and share ideas as well, right? I always say there's plenty of business to go around, but in the franchising community, we'll use that word going forward instead of industry, but in the community itself, you may have, competing brands get together because maybe there are some issues when it comes to pricing or different regulation where certain products can't be used, or there's additional training, licensing issues, education, whatever the case may be. But we've seen to where brands will get together and understand, hey, we're all in the same space and competing. With that being said, maybe there's power in kind of getting together and I was going to say power in numbers, but more of just kind of getting together and sharing ideas and concerns and how we can help one another out so that yeah, it makes everyone's lives much easier. And I think there's, huge value there. So we covered quite a lot. Our next meeting is going to be in July, and we'll see. I wouldn't say, there was a lot more conversation on AI of these five that really took center stage and how quickly, businesses, can really get up and running and much more efficient and really just cutting down on the expense and just a lot of this reinvesting back into the business. So to reiterate the five key takeaways from our conference were number one, riches are in the niches, or as I use the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid and not overcomplicate the systems. Again, number two, AI growing role in the process, helping with overall efficiencies, getting the business up and running sooner than later. Efficiency is number three, utilizing AI, but also, how to get franchisees up and running, offering great support, traveling, and finding that the maybe the initial staff to get the business up and running, some customers to get the momentum going, get some sales in the door, some revenue. Number four, support, feedback, which is a big one, listening to the franchisees, tailoring the training and services for the franchisee based off their feedback, listening, getting on those weekly calls, not waiting till an annual conference. And then number five, this idea of community, listening, working with your fellow franchisees, sharing ideas, sharing resources, staff, marketing, talking with your competitors, getting educated. I know we like to keep things close to us, and we're not revealing maybe any trade secrets, but really, leveraging. They may see something coming down the horizon that you may not see, and vice versa. So, or you have maybe figured out something to be a little bit more efficient. So especially when you're using 1099, maybe you're both using same labor pool, working with the same contractor. So, I think there's definitely value there. And it's an area I avoided in the beginning personally, and then realized that there's plenty of work and started, having conversations with competing brands and just at a high level and sharing ideas. So I hope you enjoyed this. I had some questions, a lot of this kind of covered your questions. I was going to kind of go and answer each question one by one, but I gave kind of a thorough explanation on each one, and that covered the questions I received. So all those, to everyone that sent them in, I appreciate it. I extend the offer to anyone that wants to dive in a little bit deeper on any one of these areas, or, on a specific brand that's offering, specific services. Because again, there are certain brands not utilizing AI. There's certain people using it. And then there's certain people that are really changing the entire landscape of the industry and business utilizing AI. So there's going to be different, levels of use and how they're taking advantage of it. But if you want to talk about it, number one, figure out if a franchise is a good fit, ask any questions, learn about the conference. As I mentioned, we're going back in July, same setup. We haven't gotten the itinerary. We usually get it a month before, but we'll be meeting with another 120 brands, a lot of similar brands. There could be some new brands, which is really good. But I'd love to have those questions. And if you want that question answered sooner than later, let's not wait till July. Let me know. I have direct access to numerous brands where we could pick up the phone, speak with the founder, and maybe it's something. It's about the industry, maybe it's about a specific brand. But again, I appreciate those questions. I jotted those down, and feel free. And again, if you just want to jump on a call and not wait for me to create the next podcast, go right to the website ggthefranchiseguide.com. You can book a call with me. It's going to ask you a few questions. There's a short little survey. You can book a call, and anyone that wants to book a 20-minute call, that's really the process. You can email me directly, gg@ggthefranchiseguide.com. Just because you book a call doesn't mean the timing is right for a franchise. Maybe you just want to have a few questions answered. Maybe you just want to say, hey, I have a two-year agreement left with my employer. After that, I'm thinking of business ownership. What do I have to do now? We can answer that question. One thing I just learned, it was the president of the IFA had listened to an interview. This is actually interesting. 2/3 of people they interviewed, 2/3, right? That's a huge number, have considered owning a business, just considered it. And 2/3 of those people that have considered owning a franchise have stated that they did not move forward. And why? They didn't know where to start. And I think a part of that is the service we offer. We can really help you figure out, is business ownership the right fit? Forget about franchising. Is business ownership the right fit? We talk about it, what to expect, the types of businesses, full time, part time. We discuss that, the pros and cons, the differences, the things to consider. And then we look at if franchising is a good fit, equally as important. Franchising obviously is a vehicle. So do you want the business built for you, that business on training wheels, or do you prefer not to pay the franchise fee and develop that business from scratch? There's no right or wrong here. So, this is my offer to you. It's a free call. Our services are free. We can help you. So the 2/3 of the 2/3 people that are interested in business ownership, we are, use us as a resource, allow us to help you figure out, where to start. And that's really, if you want one takeaway of where to start, it's very simple. And that's figuring out, why do you want to own a business? What is your why? And once you answer that question, whatever that the response is, it's money, spending more time with family, combination of both. Then looking at what does the ideal business look like, and not looking at, the top 500 franchises out there, or what's the hot industry and stuff like that. But what does this ideal business look like? Are you working from home or going to a retail location? Do you have a lot of staff? Do you want to keep it to a minimum? What is your investment level? You buy a home, right? You got to get pre-approved. You have to have a budget in mind. You don't just tell the real estate agent, just find me whatever. You put some things together. I want to be on the ocean. I want to spend no more than 1 million. I want to be in New Jersey, et cetera, et cetera. So, or, it has to be a condo and not a individual structure, single family dwelling. So same thing with franchising. Not look at the brands, but figure out what it looks like. Brick and mortar realization. It's going to take you a while to get open versus something service based where you're up and running quicker. What is your skill set? Not do I have experience in painting or roofing or eyelash extensions, but my skill set is sales. Sales is a transferable skill set that works, for your W-2 job. It works for your business, your side hustle, whatever the case may be. So this is where to start, guys. It's actually extremely simple. And when you reverse engineer the process, figure out why you want the business, what the ideal business is, get a little clear there. There's some questions and follow up there. Then you're like, okay, what are the companies? Is it a franchise or not? And if it is a franchise, what are the companies offering everything I want? Low staff, under 100K investment, reoccurring revenue, B2B, recession resistant, et cetera, et cetera. Once you put the guidelines in place, boom, you can narrow it down, and you can narrow down that search just with something simple as your investment, your location, because the franchise has to be available, and what your role is, full-time, part-time, that kind of deal. That's going to narrow that universe of franchise right there by over 90%, maybe 99%, depending on where you're at, because certain brands are just sold out in certain markets and states. So that's where to start, guys. So I really appreciate the President IFA sharing that. It was really cool. It was good to know, because I always knew that. I didn't realize how high the numbers were.